we're trying to give you the two options that we can bring to the table. Option A is really to wait. Let's get a rate report, see what form that takes, and that probably helps us understand the timeline a little bit better.
Now, with that, so we're talking about an election in 2010?
No, now understand that our rate proposal talked about large taxing subdistricts decided by election, and that election would happen as quickly as the public participation discussion could be about what the enhanced services are. Because the way we crafted that proposal is there's all kinds of potential services that people may want. They may want detention basin maintenance, they may want creek erosion dealt with. What we propose to the rate commission is let's let the voters decide what that menu of enhanced services are, and then assuming there's a favorable election, let's assume that that election occurred in 2008. The rest of that timeline I spoke of is the logistics of getting tax money collected, design done, negotiations on buyouts, assuming that's the ultimate solution. We think it is.
Right. So debate and election, probably next year, and then go off from there. And then the likelihood of that, I mean, the rate restructuring and all of that, I mean.
Well, you know, again, in the next 3 weeks we'll have a rate commission report. Then I'll be able to tell you exactly whether they saw it our way or a different way.
And just so everybody's on the same page here, this rate commission will go on your property taxes for this particular type of situation, right? So we'd have to wait a full year to collect the money for it?
The way that enhanced service was proposed was it would be a taxing subdistrict, so the entire area would pay taxes at a 10-cent per $100 assessed valuation rate or some lower rate. It just depends on what the ballot initiative becomes.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's property tax would contribute to a fund that would deal with enhanced stormwater services.
This vote will go out to the entire St. Louis County?
What we proposed were 5 large taxing subdistricts, large enough that you have enough tax base to generate the revenue that really gets you the ability to do projects. We have a lot of taxing subdistricts right now. You don't happen to be in one. And they generate different amounts of money that we use for stormwater projects. One of the flaws with our current situation with taxing subdistricts is a lot of them are really little. They don't generate enough funds, and people wait around years for projects for money to accumulate to the extent we can build a project. So the proposal we made was, let's have 5 big ones. Those 5 areas can decide independently if they want enhanced services. The votes don't happen to happen at the same time. The tax rates can be different. And out here, you've got a lot of need that I think probably people recognize. There haven't been taxing subdistricts for 30 years, like in some other areas of the county that have been built, allowing projects to get built. There's a wide variety of issues as what people think ought to happen with that, erosion control or some of the other things, more infrastructure. So now, that's our proposal. Rate Commission's got 15-member organizations, and sometimes they have a mind of their own. And, some of you have been in front of them, you've seen some of those representatives, but not the whole commission. And they may turn around and propose something different. I think you made your case about the severity of stormwater problems in West County in the public hearings. I haven't heard anyone saying it's not a problem. I mean, not on the macro, but your example was a good one.
I can just back up a little bit. Each taxing subdistrict, for it to be approved, would take a majority vote of the residents residing within the boundaries of that district. So it's just a simple majority of the folks who live in that subdistrict vote yes, it's implemented.
So that, how many, there are going to be 5 or 6 that are proposed?
We have 5 major watersheds, and because of the stormwater needs in each of the watersheds is somewhat unique to each area, we're proposing to set what I personally call 5 super subdistricts to cover each one of those watersheds. And in each watershed, as I mentioned, there's some unique needs. Out here it's erosion. South County, not so much erosion. They've got other issues with keeping culverts down, like things clean. Basically, we would form, for our charter, for the proposal, we would form stakeholder committees from the community who would give input to our board on what's desired. So it'd be basically select from an a la carte menu of different services. and we would help educate the stakeholder board, or that stakeholder group, and take them through the process. And then they would recommend to our board what they would like to see, and then our board goes ahead and approves it. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Then it goes on a ballot, and then it's voted on.
And it would go on a ballot as, are you willing to have, let's say, a 10 cent per $100 assessed valuation rate for handling erosion, detention basin maintenance, blah, 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 in the area. Voters decide, funding streams are created.
How iffy does that look? I mean, has there been any polling or anything like that to determine what people think of paying such a rate structure? Because I saw some dollars, I mean, spread out, I guess, over the whole city. Not too bad, but, I mean, based on what I see, my problem is in my backyard, but a lot of people may not think.
Your problem is, what's our problem? This thing is an expensive stormwater problem. Most of our stormwater projects are $100,000. You're 18 times larger than that. Some of them are 200,000. It's rare that you get a multi-million-dollar storm project unless it's just a whole bunch of storm sewers going in somewhere.
The cost, we do 4, 5, 6 people's worth of storm problems at $20,000 a lot. That's kind of the size it gets done now. So
We do polling. We did polling this past winter, customer surveys, and some of the questions we asked were their attitudes about stormwater problems.
And what we found was that of the whole of our service area, which is the city of St. Louis and 90% of St. Louis County, people do recognize stormwater as being an issue. It's an issue that's impacting them or their neighbors. There is some recognition. If I recall correctly, it is above a majority, about 50%, I don't recall the precise number. And then there is a willingness to pay for it as well. My personal caveat there, people are always willing to pay for something that's conceptual. When we get down to hard dollars and numbers, that's an issue. And that's why it would be so important that if everything goes along, we do have the super sub-districts, we put it on the ballot, form stakeholder committees, put it on the ballot. It would be very important to educate the residents.
Well, Mr. Cox, the last thing I've ever tried to do is guess what the voters are going to decide on us.
Who writes the script?
Ballot language?
Yeah.
Well, you typically use an attorney to do it. We would hire someone to craft the language in a way that was simple and easy to understand. We base it on what came out of public participation for that particular sub-district.